very last chat. We have Neelie Kroes, who is the Vice President of the European Commission. She took some time from her busy schedule to stop by for a few minutes with us. So Neelie, can you join me on stage? How are you doing? Please.
I came by bike.
You came by bike?
Bike, yes, compared to this.
Oh, yes. I see what you mean. I'm sorry. Please. How are you doing?
I'm fine and looking forward to get a lot of food for thought in this audience.
We will try to do that. It's really nice of you to stop by. It's been a few years. I wanted to have a chat with you. And so what is your... people are very depressed here. Don't you think, Neelie? How do we get them to cheer up a little bit? Not this room, by the way.
No,
this room is actually pretty active. But I'm in Europe. I've been here for a week. And I find them a little...
I get your point, but it is absolutely a stupid action of quite a number of people that they are thinking that it is only talking about the crisis, talking about the euro, talking about a number of member states in the family of Europe, so to say. We should anyhow, and of course we have to tackle that problem, but we should concentrate at the same moment on what type of future economy does Europe need. And therefore, I'm absolutely focusing on you and your generation. Your wife, Geraldine, you yourself, are for me models, and thanks heaven there are far more. The only negative remark I would make, half of your time you are living elsewhere, so stay in Europe, we badly need you. And a lot of people, yeah, please applaud for they should... Having said that, and of course, and that is, by the way, the advantage and the challenge of this type of activities, that it is borderless and it is a global business, so to say. But we need to come back into the driver's seat talking about Europe. And I'm aware that especially the younger generation is so inspiring and is taking initiatives and is starting their businesses. And I do have quite a bit of experience in inviting those youngsters for a cup of coffee at my office. and well, don't laugh, for it is food for thought for me. And if you allow me, but then I'm taking the lead and you are the one.
Well, you're a leader.
But this week I had again an exciting experience. Now and then you are getting your list what to do, and there were 2 Finnish people mentioned to come over for a cup of coffee, and they came in with such a toy, and I thought, goodness gracious, what's this? And for you who are, of course, aware, that was one of the Angry Birds. And the inventors of the Angry Birds and their company came over to explain what is at stake. At a certain moment, I said to my assistant, please skip the next appointment, for I need more time with these guys. And I asked them, when is your plane leaving? For then I will fill in the program. I'm your office manager, and we are trying to combine it. And in a split second, it was done. The Vice Minister of Spain was in the building, so I gave him a call on his mobile, said, you have to come, for there are interesting people also for your huge challenge in youth unemployment. A bit later, one of my deputy director generals came over, and in 3 hours we had a list to do for us, for ourselves, but also getting inspiration, and that is what we need, not just saying it is sad and it is all a troubled world, so to say, but there are so many changes.
So let's talk about the changes. You have a lot of startups in Europe, a lot of successes, and so there is a lot of positive, and we had a number of them here on stage and in the room. How important is it for you, for the European Commission, I'm not sure how I see it very well.
Yeah. Well, just make it very visible for you, and that is every Wednesday we do have a meeting with the whole Commission. So 27, one the President, 26 commissioners are sitting around the table with an agenda. And it is doom and gloom, so to say, and talking about unemployment, talking about the euro, talking about results or non-results of councils and so on. And at a certain moment, I was so fed up, and I thought, my goodness, and of course we should discuss it. So I asked for the floor, and I said to the President, there is one sector that is giving hope, and only giving hope is not enough. We should take it and we should feed it, for there is our opportunity for Europe, so to say, and that is the ICT / the digitization and the entrepreneurship that's in that.
Yet, Neelie, Facebook created, I don't know, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 jobs in the last 3-4 years in Silicon Valley. And Twitter created 1,000 in Silicon Valley. And we have successes here, but not that scale on the digital industry. So how do you make it happen here in Europe?
I don't agree completely.
I'm trying to make you upset. So
okay. Well,
it looks like I managed.
Yes. Well, I have a long experience of people who are trying that to do, but I still keep my line, and I try to make the numbers that are really at stake. If I just add up all the startups and the small and medium enterprises that are connected with the field that you are interested in, there are numbers, there are figures that are more than comparable with Silicon Valley. But we are always focusing on Silicon Valley is heaven, paradise, name it. It is at stake in Europe. If I'm looking what is happening in Paris, if I'm looking what is happening in London, in Berlin, in Amsterdam, by the way, and that is talking about, for example, web entrepreneurs, but it is not only talking about web entrepreneurs, it's also talking, and that was fascinating with that speedy airplane, so to say, that jet, talking about where are we good in Europe. And what is at stake, anyhow, what I'm pushing is an Airbus of chips. And what do I mean with that? A combination, at that time, member states were willing to cross borders and not only ring-fence their own territory. It is absolutely more attractive when you are combining those efforts, also for the web entrepreneurs, by the way, and that we should take into account.
But Neelie, I was an entrepreneur in Europe, and I create my company here, and if I want to go to launch in Germany and launch in Belgium and launch in the UK, it's all different social laws, and I need to learn as an entrepreneur how to hire, sometimes unfortunately how to fire in different countries. Sometimes I have a different currency still in some of them, right? Fortunately, less and less. But it's difficult. You see, I mean, they start, European entrepreneurs start with a negative compared to if you do it in the US.
If we do agree that talent is available in Europe, more than.
Yes.
If we do agree that there is a lot of research and innovation, and sometimes just beating the US in research and innovation, if we do agree that normally spoken, the salaries compared to Silicon Valley are lower in Europe, then, and there are a couple of other issues, then indeed we still have to make the internal market a completely digital internal market without borders. For this phenomenon is borderless, so it is stupid when we are still acting as if there is a border.
You feel it's progressing?
Absolutely, and that is the only advantage, perhaps there are more, but the only advantage I can think of this crisis, that governments, that the leaders of our member states are aware that we can't go for that slow path of coming to a digital internal market and in stimulating young talent and entrepreneurship. that we are aware that if we don't tackle those problems of different systems in labor law and in a climate of finance,
VAT and everything is different.
Here we are. So that is an advantage of this crisis. It is a very rough wake-up call. And I assure you, and that is what we are starting, that is what I'm starting, and not starting now, but we have already started that. We will publish our startup plan for the web entrepreneurs. It is
you have a startup plan?
Yes, network for entrepreneurs, for web entrepreneurs. We do have money. We do have money for this area, 100 million euros, so that is not coffee money, so to say.
No.
And we need to combine it, and it should be borderless. As far.
So what do you do with 100 million euros you have?
Inspire and giving the possibilities in making partnerships, in creating the technology.
But give me an example. You have 100 million. That means entrepreneurs in the room can email you and raise funding from you?
And ask for money? Well, they can mail me.
We can help you spend the 100 million.
Well, that is a deal. But then, and now I'm very serious, we should get food for thought. For I always say, I'm not the one who is sitting on your business chair. You are the chair of your business. But we should not give extra barricades or hinders of our organization of Europe, for example. Having said that, if we can just stimulate examples in which we can prove that that makes sense, so in creating centers of excellence where companies can create their opportunities, then please come and let's talk and let's find out how we can combine that with a network of thoughts and experiences.
But so concretely, you have startups here in front of you and many more online. Yeah. So what can I do if I'm an entrepreneur? I hear you have a startup plan, you called it?
Yeah.
A startup plan which has 100 million euros.
Not only that startup plan is under the 100 million euros for
I see.
There is more at stake. But what is it? So
what can I expect from the European Commission, or not?
Yeah.
Who should I contact? Or
you can always contact me or my people, so that is no problem. And I'm quite active on my Twitter and on my blog and on my.
Yes.
So
I noticed that.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so you can certainly find a way in getting in contact. For me, it is main that we are learning from each other and that we are networking and that we are taking more advantage of what is at stake with all that talent that is gathered in Europe. And I want a situation where you are in Europe and you stay in Europe and not leaving Europe for obvious reasons that we could just give to. And that is what is at stake.
But you depend from local governments, right? When the French start to create new laws towards taxation of capital gains, for example, just to take a popular one recently, up to 60% in France, you can't do anything about that, right? And so they will just go, so hopefully they'll stay in Europe, they'll go to Belgium, some of them, or they go further away. How do you cope with that?
For me, it is main that we are thinking in a European approach. So I'm not more in favor for Paris or Berlin or London or whatever. 27 member states did take that decision to unite their efforts. And we should take advantage of all the cultures and the languages, for that is an advantage instead of a disadvantage. And we should tackle those problems where an entrepreneur or a potential...
But how?
To make laws, to make regulation, to just get step forwards in realizing the digital internal market. We have taken that decision and we have to implement and we have to find where exactly the big hurdles are. You are not confused.
No, I'm not sure. I'm just trying to understand what what I can expect as an entrepreneur. And by the way, California has a 35% capital gain, so this is not, you know, I mean, next year. This is not a tax heaven, so I'm not trying to, you know, I'm just trying to understand what European startup entrepreneurs can expect or not.
Could we make a deal in the sense that the gathering of this event of so many web entrepreneurs and potential web entrepreneurs, if you can make a list with all your people, and then we are talking about thousands and even more, if you can make a list, but then realistic, so not asking we need more money or whatever, but to stay in Europe, we need this and this to be tackled. And you are a good example for, you have just found out why it is sometimes more attractive to leave the country.
Fortunately, we're not leaving.
No. And I was.
And by the way, I keep doing LeWeb in Paris and London, and we launched another one in Europe. So we are actually helping. I hope. Yeah. Promoting the European ecosystem
what would you do?
Showcasing success. Now Neelie is interviewing me.
Yeah. What would you do if you were me? So you were the commissioner for the digital agenda. There is no vacancy, but imagine. What would you do?
This is becoming a very interesting session, Neelie. I would do something very simple, is showcase success, which we try to do a little bit here. But I think there is a relationship to success which is problematic in Europe, probably less in the UK, I would say. But I can feel it here that you know, if you walk in San Francisco or in Silicon Valley, everybody wants, I mean, most people or the youth I meet want to be the next Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook. You can feel it, you know, it's huge. And why? Just because they learned at school that entrepreneurship is a possibility. And I have this, so it's perception. I have this feeling that people, the young people should focus more on creating their job than finding a job. And I think that's one thing you could do, is to help change perception by showcasing success, promoting entrepreneurship much more as a possibility in as early as possible in schools and universities. And when I read the press here, I'm always surprised that people think it is complicated, but it's way more complicated than it is. Actually, so that's one thing I would do. Then I would try to do, let me dream for a while since you asked the question, but I would try to protect the entrepreneurs. Not too much, of course. If the product is bad, they should, you know, it should fail. It's nature. But protect them from what slows them down. We talked about one is that all the different, I mean, VAT is a problem in Europe when you try to go international from one country. Then the social, I'm trying to think as if you don't, you know, if you didn't have a local government issue, but for example, you can't, the flexibility in social, like when you hire someone, is very, very heavy compared to Silicon Valley. Let me be very unpopular here. In Silicon Valley, I can be fired by one of my employees in an hour. They can just leave. And as a CEO, I can also do that. If you talk about this here, people say, yeah, it's a catastrophe, it's terrible. You know what? It is great, actually, because this flexibility of labor enables us startups to hire really fast, and unfortunately, sometimes, you know, decrease the size of a company so it survives really fast as well. And that's just the opposite of how I feel here. But now I don't know how you do that if I were in your position. But I would say work flexibility of labor is critical, and I hear so many friends who would love to have a subsidiary launched in Europe or in, you know, whatever country it is, and they don't because they're afraid they'll be stuck with a team that it's very difficult to make evolve and after.
Starting with your first point for more youngsters in Europe getting the spirit and so on. I that's my opinion, the youngsters do have that spirit. Who needs a change is the older generation. And then I'm talking about, for example, our leaders. I would love when you are inviting all the leaders of the member states and their members in their governments. For they still have quite often a not creative way of thinking, but doing the job, and sometimes they have to solve the problem that we are facing for the short period. But if you are not aware that it is a other mindset and out of the box thinking, then we are making a big mistake. So I need you and I need your generation, and there is nothing wrong with your spirit, for it's not only you or a couple of your colleagues. Most of the younger generation being aware that it is difficult to find the job that they were thinking of in former days or that their parents were thinking of for their children, that is over. It is now own initiative enterprises, startups and so on. And therefore I'm so intrigued by the web's entrepreneur sector, for that are the guys and girls who are just making a difference and are taking that initiative. And therefore I try to, for they are the lifeblood of our digital economy. And it is a digital economy, so it's not a matter of are you in favor, yes or no. It is just reality. So we have to make a mindset change, otherwise we don't...
Of your colleagues?
Yeah, so, and not only of the colleagues, but in all over Europe. And I would say the generation that is above you, that generation and older, have to make a different approach. And therefore, I think it is so important to have that network of entrepreneurs, of web entrepreneurs. But then we should make far more, we should use you far more than we are doing.
Okay, let me turn it to you. How can we help you?
Being as concrete as you can, and what I'm planning is organizing sessions with members of the European Parliament that are involved in research and innovation, that are involved in tax matters and so on, asking them for a cup of coffee and inviting a couple of you. For it was inspiring when that pilot was mentioning with all the glamour that you could feel, but it was not glamour for him, it was reality and it was just his job. And that inspiration we need from you, and you are sharing it with yourself and others.
I can do a LeWeb in your...
Yeah, great, great.
All right, we
okay,
can do a
deal,
mini.
deal, yeah. No.
Sure, if that can help you, I'm sure
Yeah.
we'll have many speakers who will join you. And
if that is possible, that is a complete new...
Well, you have 100 million euros.
I was waiting for that.
Neelie, I'm an entrepreneur.
I'm aware of that. But let's sit together and let's find out what, with your inspiration, we could move. For I won't give up. And it is such a meeting with the Angry Birds guys.
Peter,
Yeah, you know them. But there are so many more. There are in France examples. There are.
Yeah, they're here for 3 days.
Here we are. So I need more exciting stories, and sometimes people are saying you are always on the same line and try to. I need your stories to fill in and to get what you. For one example, and just to show that we still have a lot to do, talking about VAT. Can you explain to someone why VAT for an e-book is higher than VAT for a printed book? I can't, for I thought that it was about content. I'm not looking at the cover or whatever. And still, and that is not because the Commission don't want that, but still because in ring-fenced way of thinking, tax issues are quite often in hands of member states. And now we have to jump over and we have to find out that what is possible, and that today was quite an important day in the Commission. We had a orientation debate, don't ask me why it's called orientation debate, on copyright.
Yeah, I avoided that topic, but
yes,
that's a
well,
good one.
That is very nice of you, but there are so many potential possibilities where we can just make it easier. And I think that copyright needs to be linked to a development of 2012 and upfront, and not still on the issues at the beginning of this century.
So I think the European Commission is really, we're very fortunate to have you, because you seem to, really wanting to do something about it. So you're saying the best way to help you is to come and talk to your colleagues and make them aware, because they are not aware, as you are aware, of what startup needs, basically?
Well, of course.
By the way, I don't think it's money that they need the most. It's just like, speed again being a theme here, is just to let them, hire if they need to, and launch their product really fast in a different country without having to learn an entire new system of laws and labor laws and VAT differences.
The most important issue for me now is getting much more out of you and your colleagues, so to say, so talking about web entrepreneurs, giving more opportunities to people. We are talking about a youth unemployment, for example, in Spain, above 52%.
Yeah.
I think that is unacceptable. It is a lost generation. It's not only talking about economy or social welfare, it's talking about much more. It is talking about dignity for people to have. If there are more opportunities, and there are, and also in Spain, and there are a lot of initiatives, but we should pamper them and we should make it broaden, and we should indeed not only look at ring-fence territories, but in Europe. And then also the council for...
well, there is a lot of job in our industry, like, for example, mobile developers are in super high demand, so I guess some of those young people are just not trained in where it's growing. So,
but one of my worries is for 2016, and perhaps already earlier, it is not from the organization, the European Union, but from Objective Institute. It is figured out that 700,000 jobs related, ICT-related skills jobs are to be filled in. If we are looking what is at stake now, then those jobs can't be filled in. I can't explain, on one hand, that youth unemployment figure of 51, 52%, and in certain countries a bit lower, but still a huge number. And on the other hand, that we have a lack of skills to fill in those jobs that are at stake. So we should link it. We should just take opportunities like that. And here again, with your examples, not only your own example, but with so many examples, we should give much more the floor to web entrepreneurs, and I'm on your side. And let's try to do a movement in that way.
Well, that's what we're trying to do here, and there is a lot of people who will want to help you, I'm sure. So we will see in between two LeWebs. How about that? We will contact the LeWeb community and see how we can feature some of them and help you get your colleagues more aware of the startup scene. Neelie, I know you're busy, and I want to be respectful of your time. I'm really, really grateful you stopped by today, and I hope we see you again, and we see maybe the progress in between, including with our help. But we're very fortunate to have you.
Thank you so much. May I just mention one experience, and I did it before. When I was attending a similar event, not that sophisticated, but a similar event at the start of my second term in office with entrepreneurs and with researchers and innovators. The youngest was 14 and the eldest was 30, and there were thousands of them. And I was sitting next to two guys from 14, and they were showing each other their inventions and their business models. And I said to one, you are stupid, for you are showing your potential competitor what you are trying to start up. And he looked at me, and that was the wisest lesson I ever got. He said, you are old-fashioned. And that was exactly the difference. It is sharing and joining, and it is not anymore protecting and trying. And with sharing and joining with the younger generation, we can make quite a bit of positive influence on our future economy.
Thank you very much, Neelie. Thank you very much.